It's visible, ma'am? Yes, yes.
Yes, it is. It is.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. It's visible, ma'am? Yes, yes.
Yes, it is. It is.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Sister Father Jefferson is there?
He has not come in it.
Some other name.
Namaskar, namaskar, namaskar.
Good evening. Good evening.
Evening, ma'am. All the very best. Have a wonderful session. Thank you. Evening, sir.
Sir, good evening, sir. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Vayadurai, sir, I'm unable to hear you properly, but good evening. Thank you.
Ravi sir, good evening. நான் மியூட் பண்ணிட்டு உங்ககிட்ட அவ்வளவு நேரம் சொல்லிட்டு இருக்கேன். ரவி சார் குட் ஈவினிங்.
ஓகே கவனிக்கல மேடம், சாரி.
நான் மியூட் பண்ணிட்டு பேசிட்டு இருக்கேன். சாரி, நான் ஏன் மேடம் தப்பு.
Sometimes we have to do like that, no, so that no disturbance.
Father,
good evening, Father Jefferson.
Father, good evening, Father.
Good evening.
Good evening, Father.
Good evening.
Welcome you,
Father.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you,
sir. I welcome you on behalf of organizing committee.
Thanks for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Father. Father, please share the screen, Father.
It says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Please, wait, Father. Yes, yes. Sorry.
No problem.
Now
No
I
issues.
add a co-host. Sorry for that.
No problem. You're getting it?
1 minute, Father. Okay, Father. Now you try, Father, please.
Okay. இல்ல அந்த இதை ஷேரிங் நான் க்ளோஸ் பண்ணல. இந்த பிரசன்டேஷன் இல்லை. இது that is not latest, no? Is it latest? Okay, fine. That's what they are asking.
Yes, Father. Visible, Father.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, Father, you may close it.
I can close it, huh?
Yeah. When you start the session, you can just open it again.
Sister, 4:30, sister.
This one. Huh?
Okay.
Okay.
So are all the members present? Panelists? Shall we begin? Punita?
Ramana, ma'am?
Yes, we can begin.
Okay. Okay, sister.
Yes, sister.
Yes, Punita, go ahead.
Yes, sure. Thank you. Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I remember. Involve me and I learn. A warm good evening to one and all. I am Punita Nancy from Talentees. It is my pleasure to be the host for today's session. We are on the 6th day of the International Conference on High Impact Teachers for today and tomorrow. A good teacher can inspire hope, ignite the imagination, and instill a love of learning. In this note, today's topic is a new enhanced learning trajectory for teachers by Reverend Father Jefferson Suresh from Sri Lanka. Well, let me take a minute to run through the agenda for today's program. The program starts with a welcome address by Sister Mary Vimala, then Sister Mary Catherine will introduce the resource person for today, followed by the plenary session by Father Jefferson Suresh. During the session, audience may post your questions in the Q&A option available at the Zoom app or in the YouTube live chat, and Father will try to address as many as possible. After the session, if audience would like to ask any questions directly to Father, then please use hand raise option in Zoom. Then you will be added as the panelist to directly interact with Father. We will be having 2 students giving the feedback about the session. The program will end with a vote of thanks by Ms. Sahaya Felsi. We shall try to stick with the schedule as much as possible. Without much delay, I call upon Sister Mary Vimala to deliver the welcome address. Over to you, Sister.
Sir, unmute. Sister Mary, sister, unmute
Vimala, unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah.
sister. Okay.
Yes.
If the future of a nation is being shaped in its classrooms, then the teachers are shaping the nation's destiny. It's true. Teachers affect eternity. No one can tell where their influence stops. Good evening, everyone. An appreciative welcome to all the organizers and participants of this 7-day international online conference on high impact teachers for today and tomorrow from September 4th to 10th, 2020, which is being organized as part of the capacity building programs for school teachers, jointly organized by the 3 great institutions of Tamil Nadu, Teacher Education University, Chennai, St. Charles College of Education, Madurai, and Talentees USA and India. The organizers of this event are convinced that the greatest asset of a school is the personality of the teacher. I am Sister Mary Vimala, SCB, in the name of all the 3 great institutions, gratefully welcome the organizers of such a winsome program. A teacher takes a hand, opens a mind, and teaches a heart. I extend a rapturous welcome to all the 3 distinguished dignitaries, starting from our Chief Patron, Professor N. Panchanathan, Vice Chancellor, Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University, Chennai, and the 2 collaborating patrons, Dr. Sister Amali Anbarasi, Provincial Eastern Province, Chennai, and Mr. Pradeep Antony, co-founder and CEO, Talentees, USA and India. I am delighted to offer the most hospitable welcome to the 3 co-patrons, Professor V. Balakrishnan, Registrar in Charge, Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University, Chennai, Sister Sabina Joe, Secretary, St. Charles College of Education, Madurai, and Mr. Leo Fernandez, co-founder and CEO, Talentees, India. A teacher presents the past, reveals the present, and creates the future. It's my pleasure to extend a cheerful welcome to all the 3 esteemed conveners. Professor M. Govindan, Dean of Faculty, Tamil Nadu, Teacher Education University, Chennai. Sister Catherine, Student Counselor, St. Charles College of Education, Madurai. Ms. Ramona Vishwanathan, Director, Talentees, India. It's gratifying to welcome the 3 cherished organizing secretaries, Dr. T. Sivashakti Rajammal, Assistant Professor, Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University, Chennai, Dr. A. Vayadurai, Principal, St. Charles College of Education, Madurai, Ms. Entel De Silva, Associate Director, Talentees, India. Teachers who love teaching, teach children to love learning. For the past 5 days, we, the participants, have been feasting on the most current and relevant themes related to preparing high-impact teachers for today and tomorrow, such as soft skills for global opportunities, changing classroom from teaching places to learning spaces, creating a positive environment in classroom, critical pedagogy, and reframing analytical consciousness for info age, and argumentation of next generation teachers by all 5 celebrated resource persons. Today is the 6th day. Another delight is awaiting us. The theme of the day is a new enhanced learning trajectory for teachers. Today, there is a growing interest among the academicians to focus on students' learning trajectories, which means students' thinking at each level of each topic, so as to explore the ways that teachers may use the gained knowledge to create more student-centered instructional practice. Such a strategy could be truly called student-centered. The resource person of the day is Reverend Father Jefferson Suresh, belongs to the Society of the Salesian of Don Bosco, which is known all over the world for their work among the young. Reverend Father Jefferson Suresh is a trained and acknowledged specialist in the area of accompaniment of the young. His work, especially at Don Bosco Youth Animation Center, Ennur, Chennai, India, and now as the director of Don Bosco Institute of Vocational Guidance, Mankulam, Northern Sri Lanka, has been highly appreciated. Dear Father, permit me to offer you a fraternal welcome on behalf of all the organizers and the participants. We await your enlightening presentation. A truly special teacher is a very wise and sees tomorrow in every child's eyes. I deemed it pleasure to welcome all the aspiring teachers. The current lockdown is viewed as something negative, but every dark cloud has a silver lining. This crisis has opened the world to us. We, the potential teachers, have the opportunity to listen to the international resource persons to prepare us to become high-impact teachers for today and tomorrow. As I thank all the organizers for this learning experience, I welcome you all once again and wish you another fruitful day of learning. Let me depart with the words of Scott Hayden. Teachers have three loves: love of learning, love of learners, and the love of bringing the first two loves together. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Mary Vimala, for the beautiful
welcome.
welcome note. As we move on to the main part of the program, I invite Sister Mary Catherine to introduce Father Jefferson Suresh. Over to you, Sister.
Entrust your words to the Lord, and your plans will succeed, says Proverbs 16, verses 3. Entrusting all our plans to the Almighty, we have successfully come to the 6th day of our international conference. A very good evening to you all. I'm Sister Catherine, student counselor of St. Charles College of Education, Madurai. Pleased to introduce to you a very special, eminent resource person of this evening for our online international conference today, jointly organized by Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University, Chennai, St. Charles College of Education, Madurai, and Talentees, US and India. It's an honor to introduce Reverend Father Jefferson Suresh, STB Director, Rector, Don Bosco, Mankulam, Sri Lanka. Reverend Father Jefferson Suresh is a dedicated priest, an eminent preacher, a philosopher, motivational speaker. Above all, he is a person with vision and mission. He is true to his heart, a son of Don Bosco. He is a professor of philosophy, taught at St. Francis Xavier Seminary, Jaffna. He taught humanities, philosophy, and religion at Chintaloka College. He served as professor of philosophy at Retreat, a philosophical college, Yerkod, in Salem district, Tamil Nadu. He was a province youth director at the Salesian province, Chennai, where he organized many conferences and awareness sessions for the youth. He took part in the Youth Congress at Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in 2013, representing the youth and their concern from the church in India. He has also taught at Salesian Philosophate, Karnapuram, Hyderabad. He is a very good motivational speaker. He has organized and facilitated more than 60 seminars for professors, teachers, and for the school-going children. we see Reverend Father Suresh as a spiritual person dedicating his life for God and his people. With rich experience in teaching the students of different age group, he's here with us, going to share with us his expertise on topic, a new enhanced learning trajectory for teacher. I'm sure Father will enlighten us with tips to explore the minds of the students, restructuring of teachers' own understanding. Hearty welcome to you, Father. All the participants are eagerly waiting for your session. Dear participants, let us wholeheartedly welcome our resource person, Reverend Father Jefferson Suresh, for an enriching session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sister, for the beautiful and brief introduction. I now invite Father Jefferson Suresh to take charge of the session. Over to you, Father.
A very pleasant evening to you all. I would like to thank you for introducing me to the viewers. I am immensely pleased. At the outset, I would like to congratulate the organizing team for this venture of enlightening and illuminating the minds across the globe. And in a very special way, I would like to appreciate all the viewers of this session. And in a very special way to the Chief Patron, the Vice Chancellor of Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University, the other patrons, co-patrons, conveners, organizing secretaries, Dr. T. Sivasakti, Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University, A. Vayadure Principals and College, St. Charles College of Education, and the Associate Director of Talentees India. Wishing you all a very fruitful evening. My reflections with you this evening on a neo-enhanced learning trajectory for teachers, if not for today, it is a must for the future to have high impact teachers. And especially in this scenario, the present scenario, the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic has brought life to a standstill across the world. Nearly in 178 countries, there are reported school closures. And teachers, I have heard personally myself, are working overtime so that kids could learn through online. Important our teachers are and how they can succeed even during a time of crisis as of now with right technology and support system. I did find even in this part of the world, in Colombo and other parts where it's well developed, students learning online are excited to see their activities their teachers have planned for them. Once he is done with all what he is required of, he is interested in posting it. He waits to hear back from his teachers, which he invariably does. Detailed, thoughtful comments on every little thing is being posted. He's delighted. His teachers, in this present context, have learned what works and what doesn't work along the way. Hence, innovating this methodology and seeking feedback from parents, school management, and each other, all while reassuring us nothing is out of control. So it is in this context I'm going to present to you my thoughts on what is required of a teacher once we are out of this COVID-19 situation. We have seen just now, I just placed you in the present scenario. But at the same time, where students are very much interested in online learning and how the teachers have come to know what the requirement of the students and how they are working at it and how they are improvising their skills and other things. But then still the students They need the support, especially the weaker ones, the most vulnerable children, to settle down and to catch up. After weeks or months at home, students will have lost their teachers face to face. Many young people have experienced poverty and stress because of this present situation. They may have seen family members become ill or worse. They might have had little chance to play outside. Domestic abuse and fights in the family have been on the rise during the COVID-19 pandemic. Many children they have lost the habits that school taught them these days. And most of the children have spent hours and hours in their smartphones or playing video games. The learning gaps is ultimately widened up. And at this juncture, some of them even face this, what you called as post-traumatic stress, because of what they have seen happening in the family. Hence, what I feel at the present moment is that we all need teacher counselors, the mental health specialist, and learning to support these teachers to help these weakest learners and most vulnerable children settle down and catch up with what they have lost. This part we see from the student side. Looking from the teacher's point, I do see there is a stress among the teachers due to economic uncertainty. And then the daunting challenge of returning to schools of the students because they have dropped or would be dropping or they have fallen behind. And this has increased the pressure on teachers to ensure these children catch up with the little professional development and the support that they need. And some the right technologies or the skills to use them because they have not been prepared for such a situation. The other realms where these teachers need to be supported is in terms of resilience for the teachers. And the teachers also need to be supported by instructing them what the key content is, and their skills have been lost. They need rebuilding, and they need the professional development and effective remedial education is also need to be looked into technologically. The diverse technologies should integrate into teaching and learning process, as well as in the routine life that we would be catching on after the post COVID situation. So in this context, I would like to present to you or the teachers, I categorize them into 3 categories. The first, I call them as minimized teachers. The second category, I call them as passionate teachers. The third category, I place them as integrated teachers. Minimized teachers. The minimized teachers, they focus exclusively on student learning. They are fixed up with, oh, that's enough for the children, what they get in the classroom. They don't choose to assume leadership responsibilities associated with their role as a teacher. The second category of people is passionate teacher. They spend most of their time with students in their own classrooms. They dawn upon themselves new roles in the light of the situation. The teacher counsels the students like what we have in the present in the right direction to take, using life instance and experience to act as a guide, since the students already see him or her as a role model. Effective teachers have a thorough knowledge of the subject, content, and skill. Through this, they inspire the students. Their students a love for learning. They also understand how students best way learn the concepts, content, and skills. This passionate teacher, they also contribute towards administrative team that is in the school improvement committee and the rest, which caters to the integral development of the students. The third category of teachers, they are the integrated teachers, I see. They assume more complex roles. They have the ability of constantly reflecting on how well they are getting through onto their students and searching for better ways of teaching those who are not even responding, as well as extending those who are really achievers or achieving well. These integrated teachers observe the students during and after the class. These teachers also evaluate the students to know the knowledge of assimilation, and if there is a need for attending to their internal life in terms of what we call it as counseling. They also focus on supporting the learning of peers, their own team, the teachers, the teaching staff, the administrative team, leading them all, taking them along with this entire learning process of the student. These are the impact creating teachers, the integrated teachers. So, having spoken of this, these three types of teachers, minimize this, and then finally the integrated teachers, and then the passionate teachers. How do these integrated teachers function or proceed in their life journey as teachers? This I have come out with my own personal experience of addressing a number of seminars for the teachers and the professors in the last 10 years to 15 years. These integrated teachers whom I classify or compartmentalize, I have seen them as having a blueprint for their life. I don't know whether they have been prepared for that, but then I do see them having a blueprint, entire vision of what they are going to, and I say it as a compelling vision that they have within them. And this vision that they have helps them to actualize what is being required of the society and of the student, and also from the administrative point of the school and other requirements to accompany the students in their life journey of learning process, of being educated. And these integrated teachers, they don't just stop themselves with a vision that they have, the dream, the blueprint that they have, but then they analyze the current scenario, the present status that they are into. And these are the teachers whom I see very actively involved even in this present COVID-19 pandemic situation, where we find the schools are being closed, but still the learning is happening. Still the teachers are able to enter into the lives of the students. Still they are able to care for the students, for their growth, for their enhancement. Once these people, they realize and are able to make an assessment of the current situation, their own life and of their students and of the society, and what go on with the next act, that is redesigning their philosophies. What is required of to the present, and what are the things to be notified, what are the things has to be adjusted, what are the things to be modified basing on their life philosophies. So they redesign their philosophy, their notions, their ideas. So they act according to the signs of the time. These are the integrated teachers. Once they redesign their philosophy, what the next act they move into or step into is optimizing their skills, to what extent they can really carry themselves forward to these students in this learning process, how effective they can be, how effectively they can model the students, how effectively they can enhance the growth of the students. These are the things that we see. And coming to the next, once these teachers, these integrated teachers, having with the vision, reworking their philosophy, having gone to the present state, and then pitching on forward with optimizing their skills, they realize that the lives of the students. To create an impact cannot happen just being outside. Students, when they come to the school or in the society, they have guarded themselves, they have secured themselves, they have put up their own prison in which they are very, very secure. Each teacher, you and me, we need to enter into this prison of their life. And we got to educate them. We got to make them learn. And in this, and me, what we should know is each student, when they come under our care, or when they come into the school, or when they are involved in a learning process, two things happen. Or they get the impulses, or they get the signals that come from the outside world, the signals that come from within themselves. They need to interpret this, they need to understand this. To understand, there are certain filters that work, and we teachers need to really understand these filters when we get into their life, or when we want to really enter into their life learning process of experience. What are these filters? The first filter, what I would call it is emotions, or the moods, is an emotional state. Each student that we interact with, they have their own moods. Even when I am as an educator, when I address my student, I have my own mood, and the student has his own. This we need to understand. The second aspect is that the reason, the varied reason, the reasons can be the real and false reasons, or whatever you call it, but then every student is motivated or has got his own reasons behind. This is another filter which helps us to really understand the student. The third one is, we need to know that when I address a student, or when I'm engaged with a student, that he comes with his own beliefs. Now, what he accepts, that it works for him, that is, he's coming from his beliefs and I come from my own belief. It is where that I need to negotiate and try to understand, and that becomes another filter. And the students, they come, have their own value system. the way they understand the world, the way the value, the worth they think of themselves and of the others, how they come across to them. And even I have my own value system. This is another filter. Then the next is the expectations. The expectations that the students have on you, the expectations that they have on the society, the expectations they have in the school management and the administration. There are a lot of expectations. And I, as a teacher, and you as a teacher, being engaged with students, we have also a lot of expectations on the society, students, parents, and other monitoring systems. And the last, the fear. Everybody has got this component of fear. And how this break this fear and enter into the learning process of the student demands that an understanding props up. Because when these filters are rightly interpreted, or when they are interpreted wrongly, these are what constitutes in one's individual's life. That's what gives them the meaning. When they have and understand these are the meanings constituting them, that gradually leads them towards certain behaviors that actually becomes an habit. And finally, that what makes them as an end product as a result, but which is constantly evolving, which is constantly ongoing. So we teachers, when we get into the life of the students, should know that we have our own filters and the signals that we get from outside and the signals from within inside. These emotions, reasons, beliefs, values, expectations, fears, all these help us to constitute a meaning. And that's what the way they behave and the way they come out to us and to the others in the society. Teaching is described as a set of activities. They are designed to bring about changes in the behavior of learners. Teaching is explaining, demonstrating, guiding, and counseling. And when teacher does this, it does effect a change in the learner. The main aim of teaching is to help someone acquire or change some skills, attitudes, knowledge, and idea. Teaching is said to be effective only when the learners have been able to achieve the set behavioral objectives. Historically, if you see, those who have naturally and consistently assumed the counseling role have been the teachers. In classical antiquity, Socrates was Plato's teacher and counselor. Aristotle was the student and counselor of Plato. Alexander the Great was a student and counselor of Aristotle. How did these great men manage to achieve high levels of self-actualization, obtain insight and self-awareness, and succeed in their goals and endeavors? What was the role that the counseling component of the teaching relationship played in their lives' achievement? These are the questions that come within me. The relationship between teacher and student is central to an individual's educational experience and growth process. In this juncture, the counseling and teaching profession present similar characteristics associated with becoming an effective helper in the school setting for a teacher. If you see important factors in helping a teaching relationship, what I have experienced is, or what my studies have prompted me, and being here with my own boys under my care, I see unconditional positive regard, genuineness, the promotion of a climate of safety, the ability to be empathetic and a good listener, as well as to understand not only the verbal behaviors of the students, but much more their non-verbal messages. their facial expressions and body language. Teachers must be familiar with the therapeutic effect of silence. Listening attentively to the students may be all that is necessary to resolve their concern. Are we teachers have been tuned to this? A question need to be addressed. As a student I felt as an individual's and educational experience, the learning process that I went through. Teachers and students relationship is very, very important. We normally recall a teacher where I have recalled at many times the teacher who had an impact in my life. I can still remember my own teacher in the second standard, who was where I felt that she was close to me and I was close to her. She helped building my confidence. She helped me focus and redefine my goals. And as I kept moving on, some of the teachers came in my life as my own counselors, helped me to follow my own dreams. There are times when there was need, they counseled me successfully. Effective teachers use their knowledge of learning process. They determine which will be most effective to help their particular students, the individuals in their classroom, to make them effectively learn. And in my own experience, I have seen as effective teachers are those who make me feel very, very comfortable, very secure, very safe in an orderly environment, both physically and emotionally. So that as a student, I can achieve my own potentials. They know students learn best if they are in a classroom where they are very secure and confident to attempt new tasks which are given to them, even when they are not sure. And all the more what is required of a teacher is that they must prioritize the well-being of each student. We all know from our own experiences that teachers care and support, it is what helps the students' well-being. It is an alternative to being successful, especially among our most vulnerable children. A teacher, a good teacher, an integrated teacher, as I have called them, they listen. They listen to the problems, suggest ways of intervention to students experiencing problems related to their normal development in terms of the encounter academic, personal, and interpersonal problems. They have a negative impact of their learning. It does have a negative impact in their learning and in their academic performance as well. The teacher is a well-experienced teacher, integrated teacher, that knows what effective communication is. They are in need of interpersonal and multicultural communication skills to reach to the student, because the students come with a broad range of emotional, cognitive, social, and moral development. Because the students come from low, middle, and high economic backgrounds, and need not say from different cultural, linguistics, the caste systems that we have. They all need teachers in the present context, to listen and to understand their concerns. Issues, teachers have to deal with critical incidents which affect students' learning. Just think of, in my own place, you can just picturize to yourself or visualize for yourself. This part of the world where I am talking to you from has experienced 30 years of intense battle, a fight, a war between Sinhalese and LTT. Even during war situation, their schools were organized, were conducted. And can you think of a child who's just getting into the school, for the first time want to hear the first syllable of the teacher pronouncing, instead of hearing the syllable pronounced by the teacher, when that particular child heard the bombshell, what would have been the traumatic experience the child would have undergone? I have heard from people around here telling me, Father, is to be bomb blast. And we used to be in the school, and the teachers would tell us, run for your life. And we would get into the bunkers to save ourselves. These type of the horrifying experiences, feelings of terror, it is a crisis. And who has been the first individuals to address these type of crises were teachers. Because after a few days, when the schools were resumed again, regular schedules, academics started, the teachers were again the ones who had to debrief the terrorist attack that happened to their students. So the need for counseling and crisis intervention training for teachers is very, very evident, and even with our own present scenario of COVID-19 pandemic. However, when all things go relatively well and without any critical incidents, I do feel the knowledge of counseling skills is essential for teachers to promote the learning and the well-being of the children. Teachers, as for me, can play a key role in resolving student issues. They can be a wonderful therapeutic helpers to their students. But make it a point, they should not engage in long-term counseling or take on the role of the counselor. They need to have counseling skills. They need to be aware of it. But they should not be a long-term counselors. After initial evaluation of the student, attending to the concerns of the parents, the teachers should make a professional decision whether they should make a referral to either to the school counselor or counselors outside, and whether to make a reference to the professionals because of the diverse populations of the student. This calls also that these teachers have to be very, very sensitive to the multicultural aspect. In my experience, many teachers I have heard telling me, we have left the teaching profession to become school counselors because they had been integrated teachers, and they have tasted what the counseling can do, the skills that it can provide to enter into the lives of the student, to have a high impact in their lives. But then there is also a gap that exists between the teachers who are taught in the colleges, who are prepared in the colleges, their program, and what actually occurs or happens in the classroom. Many beginning teachers whom I have seen, they themselves have felt they were not prepared sufficiently for entering into the profession, because they were not able to assert themselves in looking into the need for mentoring and giving feedback, at least in their first year of teaching. They were left at bay. At times, these teachers also had claimed that their university teaching program did not sufficiently prepare them for this, to meet this need, that is, the social and emotional needs of the students. Student teachers have to learn, have an hand-on experience in their in-service training, and also once they become teachers, the programs should help them, enable them to attend to emotional mediation of the students and to recognize the strength that they need and the strength that the students need. Counselors, counselor educators, and ICS, teacher educators, they all need to work together with regard to the professional development of the teachers who are in service. They should help them to attain necessary counseling skills, which will allow them to become effective educators in their life. Teachers need to acquire, when they are in the process of being prepared to be teachers, need to acquire knowledge about the main counseling approaches, strategies, and techniques, which will enable them to work successfully with multi-groups or the culturally and linguistically diverse groups. Schools of education must offer, as for me, at least one counseling course specially designed or tailored to meet their needs, of the classroom teachers. Having thought about this, I suggest, I would like to propose, I would like to do the advocacy here. That is, the EST model, I would call it as. Essential counseling skills for the teachers. This has to aim to increase teachers' knowledge of basic counseling skills applicable to the teaching profession. The ECST model can help teachers acquiring counseling and student population so that they can be more effective in assisting students who face development, academic, emotional, physical, medical, mental, social, and other issues which negatively affect their school performance. Looking into this, in the first, I would like to highlight 4 major areas where this curriculum has to come in. The first is a philosophical basis of various psychotherapies and theories of counseling has to be given.
Father, you're on mute.
Father, please unmute yourself. Father, please unmute. Okay, Father.
So basic counseling techniques and models of counseling and their activities is the second. And the third is the contemporary understanding of diverse population issues and practices. And as the fourth, they should also be given a knowledge on ethical and legal issues pertaining to counseling. The ESCT model that I am proposing should discuss the major philosophies that underlie the assumptions of the counseling theories, identifying their similarities and differences with other educational philosophies and theories. For example, I see in the present context, existentialism is an underlying philosophy. It should also examine key concepts with respect to human development, culture, and social history as they relate to psychological and educational problems of students. Some of these techniques which should be given to students and should be able to, must help them to have an hand-on experiences, the techniques that I would suggest are listening techniques like paraphrasing, clarifying. These all you could go for yourselves and know what it is. Perception checking, then questioning techniques such as probing, open-ended questioning, the Socratic method, then offering constructive
Excuse me,
feedback
Father.
and other leading techniques. Yes?
Father, can you hear us?
Hello?
We are not able to see your screen. Can you please start your screen share again? We are not able to view your PowerPoint.
Okay, because of the internet problem, I think. Just hold on. Yeah,
It's fluctuating. Your PPT is not able to be seen. Please start your screen share further again.
sorry for the technical problem. Your internet is down.
That's okay.
It's okay now. You're able to have an access
Yes,
to it?
Father. Yes.
Yes, Father, we can see. Yes.
You want me to present those 4 points again? Fine. So certain ethical and legal issues pertaining to counseling also need to be addressed when the teachers are being prepared in these colleges of education. Some of the techniques that I would feel very important for these students who are preparing themselves to our listening techniques are such as paraphrasing, clarifying, perception checking, etc. And also questioning techniques such as probing, open-ended questioning, the Socratic method as such. They also should know what is constructive feedback and leading techniques, direct leading, indirect leading, focusing, though focusing comes when the client is really prepared for it. Reflecting techniques like reflecting feelings, content, and experiencing. Then summarizing techniques, confrontation and interpretation techniques, informing and supporting techniques as such. And what is more important, the teacher should know is debriefing and crisis intervention techniques. That is, if I would call it as building hope and using appropriate and culturally sensitive body language, tone of voice and speech rate, all these need to be really learned. So teachers are exposed to a combination of activities consisting of demonstrations, presentations, peer view, role playing and simulation, case studies and small group exercises. All these had to be in So another important aspect that I have been always insisting in my this thing is multicultural counseling concepts, issues, and practices which aim to enhance teachers' communication abilities. Their own limitations, biases, worldviews, and values, and how their values influence their interaction with students and parents. So concepts such as assimilation, cultural identity, cultural norms, cultural intuition, cultural anxiety, the individualism, the verbal behavior, the body language, all these need to be understood by students who prepare themselves to be teachers, and the curriculum has to attend to this. The implications of discrimination, stereotyping, the historical hostility that this part of the land has experienced, all these also comes under this multicultural aspect counseling, so that the students who come under our care, they know they are being attended to. And that we have, as teachers, a non-judgmental attitude. Through teacher training providers, preparing teachers for the service, should ensure, and I would recommend body as such, a body that you are, who have been organizing this, take it to the government and local authorities and ensure that it happens in their curriculum, so that the training will help the teachers to have a stronger relationships, powerful conversations, and positive changes in the behavior of the students. When teachers are aware of therapeutic approach in the teaching, they can impact, it will help the teacher to create an environment where the children feel very safe, where effort, perseverance, and making mistakes are celebrated. It will help them to work extra on themselves to build essential relationships. Having presented these concepts, the curriculum that I have proposed, I would also like to tell you there is a certain section of students with disabilities, which makes it very, very difficult for them to learn. These challenges come in many forms, such as self-esteem, peer relations, home life, mental illnesses, social competency, and various other types of interpersonal difficulties, making a teacher's responsibility a very, very demanding and challenging. In these
எங்க வீட்டுக்கு பக்கத்துல மழை பெய்யுதுடா.
Father, you're on mute.
Father, unmute, Father.
Yeah. Sorry, the net is very proper.
Father, can you
So
please share the screen?
Yeah. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, Father. Thank you so much.
So although the teachers, they are not the school counselors, as I told you earlier, they should not enter into a regular role of a counselor. But often, the teachers are the first person to listen to students' problem, to respond, suggest ways of intervention and resolution of their problems. Because the students experiencing problems related to their normal development often encounter academic, personal, and interpersonal problems. These problems may have a negative impact on their learning and academic performance, especially the special education students and students whose home language may be different, have a difficulty with regard to the normal developmental issues, and also with the concerns associated with their special learning needs. The emotional intelligence involves knowing one's emotions, managing those emotions, being motivated, having empathy for others, and effectively managing relationships. How well they relate to the teachers and the teachers relating to them. There is the way they resolve issues and learn new informations. And then the cognitive functioning can directly impact people's social and emotional development. People who have diagnosed cognitive processing deficit may demonstrate a greater challenge in their ability with regard to grasping new academic concepts and develop social and emotional skills. A learning disability is a direct result of cognitive processing deficit in one or more areas. So all this, initially, when the students come to the class and when they are introduced to me as a teacher, I should be able to identify these problems and must be able to accompany these students, find strategies that could solve and then make further referrals so that these students are supported. So students with disabilities often have social and emotional challenges, which makes it very, very difficult for them to learn. These challenges come in many forms. In what way can we define the social and emotional skills? The first, I would call it as communicating effectively the teacher's skills, the problems that the students are facing. The ability of the teachers to work cooperatively with others and the students in turn to work with the others. Their own emotional self-control and appropriate expression. The empathy and perspective taking, optimism, humor, and self-awareness, including strengths. Their ability, the teacher's ability to plan and set goals, also inclusive of the students. Solving problems and resolving conflicts thoughtfully and non-violently. Bringing a reflective learning to learn approach to all domains of life. So a teacher should be able to interpret and address these things. Teach students with learning disabilities in the present context are considered at a higher risk for developing social relationship problems and exhibit deficits in social problem solving skills. It is where the role of the teacher as a counselor is very, very important, because it is the teacher who comes in the first place to know the student, Once he comes out of the family, family may not be able to, and they are not prepared to identify this. As the curriculum that some time back that I suggested, if could be done, it will help them to identify these things and accompany the students for a better learning process. Even these students who are not into the normal stream, but then can be helped to put them into the normal stream. So, teachers, in fact, are given the unique opportunity, in my perspective, to be influential and significant people in children's life. With the education field focusing primarily on academics, teachers are often lacking training in social and emotional development challenges. And mediation of these challenges and method to counsel students in those. And as you can see it on the screen, these are what I see it as very, very important, which a student who prepares himself as a teacher in their training program should know, and that they are prepared enough with these things, with these skills, as they enter into the classroom setting or on the online or any other mode of teaching, making the children to undergo the learning experience. They should be a skilled helper. They should know how to address the classroom situation. They should understand the process of helping, the learning skills, the helping attitudes, the integrative approach of all the philosophical counseling theories that they are being presented during their preparation. They should be able to develop skills of helping, their own internal state of mind, and then having all the skills of attending, listening, empathetic resonance, exploration skills, and action skills. They should be able to understand and access the children's problem, notifying the symptoms of distress. Well, just a few minutes back, I said of those children who are not into the normal stream. Noticing the stress in the lives of the children, the assessment process is very much needed. We'd be happy, even few of the assessment training programs, if the teachers are prepared with. And what are the additional informations they can collect of the students. And they should also know, to a certain extent, what to do with these assessments so that they could make further reference. The counseling skills are very, very important in the classroom because it helps them to develop communities of respect and tolerance. The helping strategies they can fall for basing on the particular group. It also helps them in terms, if they are prepared, even for a group therapy. So differences between process and classroom groups, advantages, disadvantages of process groups, when to intervene and what type of intervention has to be made in the groups, and what are the variety of group processes that can be used as a methodology. And as a teacher, I should also know where can I get support from to be in my own profession, along with this having the skill of a counselor. And I must be, finally, I should be having the capacity to communicate with parents, because ultimately it is the parents who are accompanying them or who are there in their life. I should also, a prepared teacher should be ready. They should also be prepared enough to consult with other teachers in taking and carrying their students, for making further reference, consulting other counselors, even having their own personal counselors, so that they are efficient. They are able to understand their own emotions, the moods, the beliefs, the value system, have a constant check in their own philosophies and their own ways of interacting with the students and counseling the students and making the learning process much more effective. Finally, I would like to propose to you all who are eagerly waiting to, or who are already creating an impact in the lives of the students, is we need to master the following skills. First is a reflective practice. We must be able to help systems to function with a culture of mindful and meaningful reflection by creating conditions that encourage thoughtful consideration among peers, administrators, and other staff members. I should remind myself that I am not alone in this process of this educational process. There's learning. Take the help from the others. The second is personal effectiveness. That is, I must be aware and understand my own personal strengths, leadership styles, and passions. That's what I said. No creating a compelling vision when I presented the 4 aspects. And must be able to capitalize on those attributes that support lifelong and also the life of the student. That has to be attended to interpersonal effectiveness. Every opportunity has to be sought to support those who are with you, the colleagues, and building critical relationships to promote an action that is based on shared vision, which is deeply rooted in serving the needs of a student. This paradigm shift should come in the present context. And I feel it is a must. And communication, defining, differentiating, and sharing to the student carefully crafted messages. Because the message as a teacher I give can spur others, especially the students, either for a positive challenge or for a negative challenge at all levels of the educational system. Then the next is continue learning in the field of education. That is, what I mean is the professional development, the goals. Make use of every opportunity that comes on your ways to skill yourself, skilling oneself, continuously, progressively. Once we come out of the College of Education, we are not a finished product. We are in the continual process of growing. It is a process philosophy. Then the group processes. We should be open-minded, engaging ourselves, skillfully managing the group dynamics, especially in the classrooms and other settings, and guiding groups and the individuals with their own challenges and are able to address them, or at least we are able to accompany them in those challenges is a must. The adult learning, building an awareness that we understand better. That process of learning is there. How I can take the others in this process and also educate them, collaborate with them, so that I may that in that process, a child who comes into my own educational system or institution is able to experience the growth, which it ultimately leads towards student success. And considering the present situation, the technological facilities. Now, you have seen my own presentation, during my presentation, how because I'm being caught up in this remote part of the world, where technology has not improved, where no much facilities. You can think of during this COVID situation when there are so many online learning was happening because of the technology was not available for all the students. Some of them were not able to really get back in the normal modem of learning. This situation has created a gap of learning between those students who can afford to this type of technology and the teachers who can afford to these type of technology, those who are cut off from that. So incorporating these technologies, the emerging technologies, to communicate with diverse audiences, facilitate our presentation, our education, our teaching, and other learning activities that has to be brought in so that we become teachers in the post-COVID-19 situation as a highly impact creating teachers. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, Father, for sharing your valuable insights on the topic, which was a real eye-opener. And we are grateful for the time and effort you took to share your thoughts and experiences with us. Just a quick reminder to the audience that if you have any question, please use hand raise option in Zoom, and Dr. Shivashakti ma'am will add you as the panelist. And I also request audience to keep their video on when they ask you question to make it more interactive. And before we proceed with the questions, let us quickly invite Ms. Beulah Selin and Mrs. M. Jayanti to give their feedback about the session. Yes, over to you, Beulah.
Okay, ma'am, thank you. Good evening to one and all present over here. I am Beulah Salim, second year student teacher, St. Charles College of Education, Madurai. I am very elated to share my feedback to this magnificent session. Our job is not to prepare students for something. Our job is to help students to prepare themselves for anything. Yes, today's theme, a new enhanced learning trajectory for teachers, is the reflection of this quote. As the future generation is under the hands of teacher, the teaching process should be enriched with modern learning technology. Along with this, we have also learned how to create a friendly relationship with students. We will take care each and every student with love. Thank you, Father, for teaching all those effective learning process. Surely, we will upgrade this in our teaching platform and we will make our classroom healthy with innovative teaching method. Overall, the session was very useful and informative for us. Once again, thank you everyone for this opportunity.
Thank you, Beulah Selin. Yes. Over to you, Mrs. M. Jayanti.
Am I audible?
Yes.
My video is not working right now. Yeah, I think it has come on. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jayanti, a research scholar from Tamil University, Tanjavur. I'm a resident of UAE for the past 25 years. It is my pleasure to voice out my opinion about this webinar. First of all, kudos to Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University and St. Charles College of Education for arranging a wonderful session to equip teachers with latest technology and varying techniques. Learning is endless. There is a proverb in Tamil, "Kattadu kaiman alavu, kalladadu ulagalavu." Whatever we have learned is just handful, and what we have not learned is the size of the ocean. We are learning every day. We are learning in this very difficult situation. Actually, this difficult situation has turned out to be knowledge gaining time for teachers and educationists. Father, the body language of a student tells everything. And you rightly said, if a teacher could understand that, then she would be another mother to the student. It was very nicely explained. Actually, a child should feel safe and comfortable in the class. Father, Reverend Father Suresh, you explained very nicely how crisis management and counseling is the most needed skill for teachers of today. You put everything in a nutshell saying a teacher should have a therapeutic approach. Thank you, Father. It was a very nice session. The webinar is getting interesting day by day. I thank all the organizing people for this wonderful opportunity given to all of us. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. M. Jayanti, for sharing your valuable feedback.
Thank
There
you.
are few questions from the audience that have come in. So let's begin with them. There is a question which was posted in the YouTube live chat, that how can we appoint psychologists for the welfare of youths in arts and science colleges in India?
For it doesn't apply only to the arts colleges and science colleges, you know. In all the educational system, means all the educational institutions which impart knowledge to the students, which involve the students in the learning process, the experience of as I said, taking in the signals, the impulses from external and from internal, and how they modify it, all that a counselor, what he does is, when he involves with the student, he is able to change his perspective. To appoint these, find a good counselor, we should form, first of all, as I said, these colleges of education, should prepare the teachers themselves. At least they are able to initially act as a counselor, though, as I said, they should not be a long-term counselors. They should be able to initially study and identify the learning difficulties or the growth movement, growth process of the student. So that if the teachers are themselves, if they are prepared, they themselves play that base is attended to. The initial thing is attended to. So later on, you are finding the teachers like a professional teachers. It is easy having an interview and then identify them and see whether they have the sufficient skills. They should be brought into the picture and being experimented for 2-3 months, and then finally they are able to brought into the school system or the college system where they can address the issues and they can become a school counselors. Hope I was able to address the question.
Yes, thank you, Father. The next question we got in the Zoom, that is, what steps should be taken to strengthen Indian educational system?
I don't know whether this question that I need to address basing on the present that thing has come out.
That is, what steps should be taken?
Pardon? Yes, somebody else is
No,
talking?
Father.
No,
No,
Father.
it's a background.
YouTube sound.
Okay, fine.
Sorry.
So the Indian, basing on how the educational system that now it has come in, okay, which I don't like to comment on because there are various intricacies related with, some are for and some are not for. But for to have a real enhancing educational system which has got its own curriculum, should address the students' emotional status along with their academic accompaniment. If Indian education, if it doesn't concentrate, or any education for that state-owned education system, if it doesn't address to the emotional and social learning skills of the students, you don't prepare a student who is really useful to the society. You would only have sick people or a sick youth for the future. I hope it's fine.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, thank you, Father. I agree with you that teachers should have some counseling skills, but in a class of 50 students, it is hard to be an active listener to all. Many times, I am worried as a teacher about giving a wrong advice. Sometimes other teachers' opinion also may confuse the student. So how can we accommodate this?
This is where I spoke about multicultural formation, multicultural. You should know where the students are coming from. And also our own educational system has to be reorganized in this system. Having a classroom of 50 students is not viable and does not really help, though we were all part of that system. I had been educated where in a classroom I was no part of the others, 50, 54. I think when I did my 6th and 7th standard, my class strength was 64, I think, if I am not mistaken. So naturally, teachers will not be able to attend to that. But my recommendation, given because we can't do away with the situation, slowly only it has to be worked out with regard to the population, other things, taking into consideration those things. At least there would be some glaring individuals, no, some individuals, they will be having a glaring personality traits, which will be very, very clear and visible that they are not getting themselves or not falling themselves into the learning process. That can be easily identified because with their depressive mood, they keep themselves aloof, they don't come into the normal stream of our other activities, no, and their own educational failures, their own academics, they are not able to really come with the flying colors. So there will be some glaring personality traits of these students which have to be rightly picked up, and if we are able to at least help one or two, then I think we have done a marvelous job as teachers.
Thank you, Father. So the next question is, after the post-traumatic situation happened in the war zone, now what is the improvement and how did you overcome that situation, Father? And still, are they have the pathetic memories?
So I am also as a basic professional counselor attending to the last year I had two girls as my clients from a nearby convent, boarding girls. They still have they are suffering from what you call as PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, because they have seen their own mother killed by a bombshell, you know. It is very, very fresh in their memory, and they find very difficult to come out of that. And there are no system in place to address these situations in the schools or in the learning places. So the situation, the war is over, but whether the students are able, or whether the proper ambient has been created for a learning experience is a big question mark.
Yes. Thank you, Father. So the another question is, when some of the students are being very much introvert and very much comfortable with one of the subject teacher, what are the measures we can adopt to make that particular student to be excel in other subjects too?
A simple thing is, the two teachers, I said, must be able to enter into the lives of the students. No, as long as we remain as a stranger, if I teach mathematics, go as a mathematics teacher, and if I am not, because I do find in many parts of the world, even here, it's very, very clear that students find very difficult to accept science teachers and then maths teachers, because they still, after 4 years or 5 years of tutoring them, still they remain as strangers to the students. Though the subject in itself might be very difficult, hard or dry, but it depends on the rapport that you create with students. If you are able to create a rapport, that itself would become a therapeutic in terms of they falling in love with your subject.
Yeah. Thank you, Father. Another question is, many of the village students do not like to continue their higher studies since they want to earn money. So how to change their mindset?
It's a very the question that has to be discussed and debated because it has a lot to do with the political scenario that is in the country, in whichever country it is, and also with given the stressful financial situation this present COVID pandemic situation is. In the future, it is going to be very, very challenging, and for the students to pursue and to continue the studies, because the family situation would draw them to face the reality. See, one is the reality check. What is the reality? And what is the ideal and the dreams that I have? The society has to, the environment has to create a platform, a forum where a student can pursue. But in that case, when there is a political turmoil, when the politics doesn't help, when the state government doesn't help, when there is no proper vision of the entire government in itself, it is very difficult for you and for me as a counselor, as a teacher counselor, to really give another side of the picture and help the student have a different perspective. Though we can accompany them, and that's what I can say. But then to really make them to have a different perspective, because the situation doesn't help. That's why I said there are many filters, and these filters, they come from external world and internal world. Internal world, when it is come, you can sit with them, and then you can help them see themselves and make a decision for themselves. But when it is external, we can only help them to understand the situation and proceed.
Thank you, Father. So now we can have the people who are directly added into the panelist who wants to ask any question to Father, they can.
Hello, Father. Good evening.
Good evening.
Can you hear me, Father?
Yes, very clear.
All right, Father. Can we really implement the preventive system of Don Bosco in the present system of education?
I don't know whether the entire audience, they know about what Don Bosco's preventive system is. So though since you posed that question, it is good to tell I would be happy if you can tell the viewers, those who are listening to us, what this preventive system of Don Bosco is. Otherwise, it would be only like addressing to you this problem would be, because the question would be. Can you just explain for yourself in a nutshell, means very brief?
All right, Father. Actually, Father, I have forgotten about it. That is the reason I'm putting forward this question to you.
Okay, fine. This is a preventive system.
Is it reason?
Yeah, beautiful.
Reason?
So reason, religion, and loving kindness. This is what exactly the counseling process is. You sit with the student, you understand the reasons and motives that I said, what helps him to carry on in his life, and of what Roger would call, being very, very empathetic, you give a positive regard. So these are the things which the loving kindness would come in. And this religion and other things that you speak of, it should be seen in terms of
preparation
of a student to become a holistic human.
Right, Father.
Fine.
Okay, thank you, Father. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, Father.
Thank you.
Hello.
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 Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, Dr. Joseph, you can post your question.
Hello, Father. At first, I wish to congratulate Father for your nice presentation. Then,
thank you.
Can you say something more about reflective practices in the present context? Importance of reflective practices in the present context, Father.
Reflective practices, what I would mean is mindfulness. Maybe personally, if you take, it's mindfulness of what is presently the culture is in its entirety it is undergoing. That is a meaningful reflection from every situation, that you also, that what you call is that 2 days back, I think there was something on consciousness, collective consciousness, that which comes from sitting with your own peers, and if you're put up in a school, understanding from your own administrative team, management team, and other staff members, So it is not only individual, I as an individual who have a reflective practice, but then I also loop in the others so that I'm able to have a real culture of mindfulness and meaningful reflection.
Okay. Thank you, Father. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Father.
Anybody else from the audience wants to ask question?
Hello, ma'am. This is Revati. I want to talk to Father.
Yes.
Father, I'm actually an MH student from Coimbatore of Tamil Nadu district. I just have a query with regard to handling the present attitude of students. Like most of the students are like they are taking life, they are taking everything for granted. So it's very, I don't mean to say all of them are of that mindset. Of course, few are there very sincere and committed to life, but still majority of the students have an attitude like taking everything for granted, getting them on track with academics or other aspects of life. It's pretty difficult in reality. I hope most of the teachers would accept with my point. So how can we handle the attitude of such students?
You had been able to really identify the particular attitude which is very much disturbing you. Even I sometimes when I address some of the groups, I did find this attitude because they have come, it is not they have come on their own, they have compelled and then they have been thrown there. So when they come into that type of attitude, it is very difficult for them to get into what you are trying to give. And if you have a set thing to deliver, naturally they will not be able to fall in line with you. We must be able to establish a rapport where I'm able to understand his concern, where I'm able to understand his world, where I'm able to speak his language, where I'm able to enter into his shoes. Then I think I will be able to address this problem of aptitude to a certain extent. But also you must take care from which background and mentality and diversified culture they are coming from. Are they coming from a lower strata of the family or the middle strata of group, or then from very economically high families? Those also should be understood. And what are the motives behind their parents, the motives in their parents for having put them in this particular stream. So all these what collectively only will help us to address the attitudinal issues that the students face.
Okay. Sir, I have one other query, Father. Like most students are not clear with what they want really in life or with regard to education. So how can we mold them or motivate them to be on track with life?
The simple thing I would say is to defeat anybody, distract them. To defeat anybody, distract them. And this world is full of distractions. They have been n number of umpteen number of things which distracts them on constant basis. And the first distraction that happens in family, when there are a lot of distractions, when they find that there are no expectations of them, as I said, expectation and fear. There's a lot of fear component in the students. When there are a lot of fear component and when there are a lot of expectations, as I said, which they feel they cannot realize by themselves, and they're not tuned to those type of expectations, and they're own looking into their own motives, which is very far off from what the society expects of them. How do you expect them to fall into the line?
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Father.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, participants, for all the wonderful questions. And thank you so much, Father, for addressing all of them. Since we are way past of our schedule, I call Ms. Sahaya Felsi to propose the vote of thanks. Over to you, Felsi.
The Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Psalm 37, verse 4. Good evening to one and all. As we come to the end of the 6th day of the International Online Conference on a new enhanced learning trajectories for teachers, it gives me an immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks. On behalf of the Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University, St. Charles College of Education, and Talentees, I express my heartfelt thanks to our resource person, Reverend Father Jefferson Suresh, SDP, Director, Rector, Don Bosco, Mangulam, Sri Lanka, for being a resource person for this day. and sharing his highly appreciated valuable presence with us. We are extremely grateful to you, Father, for empowering and enlightening us on this timely topic. There should be a shift in our priorities to pay attention to the psychological and emotional needs of the students is of paramount importance. We, as a prospective teachers and a teaching community at large, will take your suggestions and recommendations to implement them in our educational institutions. Thank you for giving us the drive to move ahead. Thank you very much, Father. I extend my deep sense of gratitude to our Chief Patron, Professor N. Panjanadam, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University, Chennai, for his constant support. And our patrons, Dr. Sister Amali Anbarasi, Provincial, Eastern Province, Chennai, and founder of St. Charles College of Education, and Mr. Pradeep Antony, co-founder and CEO Talentees USA, who have blessed us with their presence. I extend my sincere gratitude to our co-patrons, Professor V. Balakrishnan, Register, Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University, Chennai, Sister Sabina Jose, Secretary, St. Charles College of Education, Madurai, Mr. Leo Fernandez, co-founder and CEO Talentees India, for their enormous support and encouragement. I would like to thank our conveners, Professor M. Govindan, Dean of Faculty and Controller of Examination, Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University, Chennai, Sister Catherine, Student Counselor, St. Charles College of Education, Madurai, Ms. Ramona Vishwanathan, Director, Talentees India, and Organizing Secretaries, Dr. Vayadurai, Principal, St. Charles College of Education, Madurai, Ms. Entel D. Silva, Associate Director, Talentees India, especially Dr. T. Shivashakti Rajamal, Assistant Professor, Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University, Chennai, whose generosity made this 7-day online conference possible for us. Thank you, ma'am, for all your support and enabling us to organize this wonderful event. A special thanks to all the members of Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University, St. Charles College of Education, and Talentees, who stood as pillar for the smooth going of this international online conference. I thank the enthusiastic participants from India and overseas who actively took part in this section and made this day a grand success. Once again, I thank you all. Thank you.
So once again, thank you very much, Father Jefferson, for joining us and enlightening all the participants on behalf of Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University, St. Charles College of Education, and Talentees. I'm sorry, I'm not able to enable the video. I'm in a dark. I have power cut here. So once again, thank you. With all your power cut and your low signal, you have presented your topic very systematically and it has reached all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Father. Thank you so much, Father.
Thank you, Father, for your calm and very enlightened speech. It's very informative speech, Father. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Father.
Thank you, Ramona, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Punita Mary, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sister Sabina, thank you so much. Sister Catherine, thank you so much. Sister Mary Vimala, thank you so much. Sahaya Felsi, thank you so much. And Dr. Premalata, ma'am, thank you so much. Dr. Vayaburi, sir, thank you so much. Dr. Ravi, sir, thank you so much. Thank you all the panelists and thank you all the participants. On behalf of Tamil Nadu.
Thank you all the panelists.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Father. It was wonderful
Thank you so much,
presentation.
everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone. A quick reminder on tomorrow's program. It will be on A Teacher of Today and Tomorrow by Dr. J.R. Jawaharlal from Abu Dhabi. Starting at 4:30 p.m. Please don't miss it. The best teachers are those who show you where to look, but don't tell you what to see. Because the influence of a good teacher can never be erased. Thank you once again. This is Punita Nancy signing off. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sister.
Thank you, sister.
Sister, shall I wind up this session?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. We shall wind up now.